Hi, everyone, and welcome back to episode 34 of the Simply One podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or even the occasional comic, then we have got the show for you.
That's right.
This week, we're coming at you, bitches, with a new recording setup. For the first time in Simply One history, I can look longingly directly into Chris's face. Look at me, Chris. Look at me. Look at me, Hector. I can look you right in the eyes and say some shit about movies and stuff. So, for those that don't know, we have always recorded this thing remotely. That's why you need a straw so you can with the pinky out. Yeah, that'll play well for an audio medium where I have a pinky out. So no, we've always recorded this remotely, and so that's obviously resulted in certain limitations, such as connection issues, mic cutting out. How many times have we gone, oh, hold on, wait, you sound robotic. Hold on, wait, I can't hear you.
Too many.
Yeah. And I've noticed I have a better setup, like computer-wise, but I'm the one that always cuts out. Just Jack. Oh, shit. No, but hopefully we're, as we keep moving forward with this new method for us, we'll get to work out some kinks if they, as they show up, and, just continue to get better with it. So,
that's right.
While talking about some additions this week, it's going to be our Halloween Spooktober Extravaganza. Fucking haunted Bonanza, whatever you want to call
Bonanza.
it. Fucking bananas. Who was the meme? What was it? Oh, it was old rapey Kevin Spacey, wasn't it? Bananas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oops. He's not cool anymore.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah. That's a big old swing and a miss. No. Morgan insisted on being a part of this since she's just a sucker for true scary stories, true crime, ghost stories, things like that. So say hi, Morgan.
Hello. Ghost stories are like my favorite thing in the entire universe, so I was totally psyched to be invited back. But I mean, I didn't really give them a choice. I just said,
I was going to say, invite is a strong word.
Invite's a very strong word. I barged into both their bedrooms and said, listen, fuckers, I'm going to be in this week's episode, and that's final.
It's
That's
like
it.
invite, more like allow or bend the knee to, It was very Daenerys Targaryen.
They bent the knee and kissed the ring of the queen.
Yeah, like a pope.
Fucking pimp slap my mouth. Yeah. That's considered
I'm in the
a
podcast,
kiss.
bitch.
I am the almighty in this household. It's about time they realize that.
So, the topic for the week is, I put it in quotes here because we don't really know what to call this thing. We may end up just calling the episode Spooktober, Extravaganza, Halloween, whatever.
Spooktober, Halloween, Extravaganza,
Bonanza.
Just
Just throw a bunch of words at it. It's like 12 buzzwords. But no, we're going to call it, so we're going to refer to it inside this thing as true scary stories that actually happened and then kind of took a look at pop culture and stuff. So before we get into our stories, we do have to talk about the news for the week. We got a few good things here. We got a first trailer for Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Henry Cavill officially returned into the DCEU.
Oh, hot damn.
Steady. We got a little bit of box office talk and how superheroes may be saving the day as well as the box office.
Sorry, our dog is
one of the
dying on
dogs
the
is
floor.
dying. Not literally, I don't think. But we have a new
crossed.
Star Wars film in the works. Whiskey. So the team behind Uncut Gems is actually reuniting for a Netflix project. And Konami announced a bunch of shit last Wednesday at their Silent Hill transmission, so we're going to have to talk about that. Steady. So if you're ready, we'll just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's get cracking.
It's fucking party. So right off the top, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had a trailer today, actually, Monday the 24th. Good shit in that, I thought.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah. We got to see Kang.
He doesn't look exactly like from the comics. But I mean, I still think it looks pretty fucking dope.
I do like that, because a bunch of people, if you've seen Kang in the comics, his face is blue, but his face isn't blue, it's just his visor on his helmet. And it looks like they've done that in this, where there are a few shots. You don't get a close-up, I don't think, of his face, though on the poster it looks like he's got...
I just meant more of the helmet itself that he had on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, stay in close like that when you talk. There is a weird Goldilocks spot where this is probably too far. You do need to lean into it, right in here.
Is this better?
That's perfect. I'm the only one that can hear the recording live, so they like to be playing with mouth sounds right in my ear.
To be fair, we didn't realize the headphones we needed, and
Yeah, so I'm the only one that's got headphones.
we have not purchased those yet.
But really, I'm the only one that matters. So, Quantumania seems to revolve around Cassie Lang creating some sort of like beacon into the quantum realm, and that's somehow pulling the entire Hank, like Hank Pym, and then like Van Dyne, Hope, and Janet, as well as Cassie and Scott Lang into the quantum realm, where we get like a city, and we got a nice like Elton John somewhat remix.
Yeah.
Playing
Yellow
over
Brick
it, where-
Road.
Yeah, where Marvel's kind of doing the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. They like to put the pop song over top of something with like more grandeur now,
But it works.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not sure when. I think coming up here soon, Elton John's doing his last. He's on his last tour right now, and he's
You could say
It's his last
legs.
leg.
he's on his last. He's on his last
Like, I didn't
leg.
realize Elton John was at
shelling
death's
out.
door.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, he's getting up there.
No, Elton John.
Elton John will outlive us all, probably.
I don't know about none of that.
It's fair. He had a crazy younger life.
It's true, but he's doing his last tour and his last performance. I know him and Disney signed a big partnership that he's doing live, that they're going to have on Disney Plus live.
Oh, really?
At I think the Dodger Stadium.
I didn't know that.
You'll have to wear your bedazzled bikini to watch it in the living
Yeah.
room.
Wear your skimpy baseball outfit. No, so Janet Van Dyne, talking about Quantumania, is like deeply afraid of something in the quantum realm, and the assumption I think is Kang.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
she's like, we got to fucking shut this
From
thing
the
down.
sense of it, you feel like she's probably had a run-in with
Maybe,
him
yeah.
before.
Yeah, because she got stuck in the
Yeah, she was stuck in there
quantum realm
for
years.
decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in canon, probably like 60 years.
Yeah.
Because they were, you figure her and Hank Pym were doing
On that
some
mission.
semi-Avengers shit in like the 60s, maybe 70s. And they were kind of young then, and now, it's what, 2025 in the MCU or 2023?
Something like that. Yeah.
Right in that area. And so it's like, it's been. But obviously, she's aged slightly differently because she was stuck in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
But, don't know what Hank Pym's excuse is. He's just
She
an old
doesn't
bitch.
look like curdled milk.
But no, so we get to see Bill Murray as MODOK. Doesn't look like MODOK, but like we kind of talked about, maybe they'll put him in like a floating chair deal, and he'll be more MODOK-like.
He'll have Professor X's.
Yeah, just
hover
his
chair.
hover chair. And then let's see, the CG I thought actually seems improved compared to some of the more recent projects. Like She-Hulk wasn't bad once it got into, you see her enough, but they did play on the idea of like, we can't show her transformation too much. That's expensive and things like that. But like Thor definitely had some sketchy CG. And then like we've talked about Doctor Strange with like the third eye. It was very, like I said, it was like a TikTok filter.
Yeah, it was
just a third
bad.
eye on this floor. It was not
Not
good.
They
good.
bought it at a Halloween store and just glued it on.
Yeah, it just
It's just a googly eye.
but yeah. So Jonathan Majors, we got to see Kang in his full uniform. And I swear to God, if that dog doesn't stop with that bone, I'm going to put a mic in his butt.
Sullivan might like it, so.
It's the only one way to find out. Sullivan! No. No, it didn't have the line from D23 that everybody was talking about when it got leaked and all that, where he's like, I'm an Avenger. And he's like, you're an Avenger.
Yeah, have I killed you
Have
before?
I killed you? Yeah. Have I killed you before? And you're like, oh my God. So I'm like, well, maybe they cut that line, but I doubt it. That's a solid line. Maybe
Yeah.
they're just holding that one back for the theater audience, or maybe the second trailer.
Which would be... I'd hold it till...
Hold it to the fucking movie.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, you got a little taste of it, but as soon as you see that scene...
Yeah, you're like, oh my
that
fucking God.
context...
They left you
Yeah.
wanting more.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people going like, there's a lot of shots of like Cassie Lang and Hope Van Dyne and Scott Lang. They're all shrinky power people. Someone's got to go. That's a lot of shrinky powered people. Maybe they use this movie as like oh shit, Kang ain't fucking around. And like he kills Scott Lang or Hope Van Dyne.
I was... Yeah, because we got to talking about it, too, because I said... What was I saying when we were talking about it, and I mentioned how maybe in this one... there's something about them dying. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Was it today?
No.
Oh, okay, it's been in the past.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't remember you mentioned them dying at all today. I don't remember. Them dying and then maybe coming back somehow, or?
I can't
know.
remember. Yeah, we'll scrap it.
It must have been a good thought. it's like a lie. I can't remember. Oh, it must have been a lie. Like, no, Mom.
This is probably a dumb question.
Could be.
But is Cassie like in the Young Avengers?
Yeah. So Cassie becomes like Ant-Man-ish. I don't remember what her like official name is, but yeah, she's in the Young Avengers. And so they are building like a Young Avengers where you've got Kate Bishop as Hawkeye, and you've got Jesus. I can't think of Isaiah Bradley's grandson's name.
Oh yeah, from
But he's in the Young
Falcon
Avengers.
and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got a bunch of them that are coming together now. Ironheart. So that'll be dope. But yeah, so they might potentially be putting together a Young Avengers.
Yeah.
Or like I've floated the idea of a West Coast Avengers. Maybe they combine the teams. Because apparently in the comic, I haven't read the most recent run of Secret Wars. But apparently in Secret Wars in the comics, Hope Van Dyne's actually leading the Avengers at that time. So maybe there's some shit there. Like right now, as far as the press releases and stuff has gone, Marvel's talking like the Avengers don't officially exist anymore. And so we're kind of getting, that's why we're getting ragtag groups like, the Thunderbolts being put together, because there's a vacuum there, and, well, someone's got to do the job, right? And so then it's going to be like, quote unquote, an Avengers level threat, right? Is going to make people go, we got to fucking get together on this thing.
Mm. What if it just turns into the boys?
They're just fucking
I mean, it's all just like a
using
corporate
babies
industry.
to cut people in half.
I
and
mean,
shit.
they started talking about it in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Cutting people in half with babies?
No, yeah, no.
Verbatim, yeah.
The corporate level, because Tony Stark is getting paid to clean up the mess that he made.
He gets to go in and make the mess, and then
And so you do get to see a little bit of it. It's a little corrupt.
yeah, it's a little like, ooh, that's not kosher.
not
I don't
cool.
think.
But then they push that off the table, and you haven't heard
Yeah.
anything about it since. So I want to know.
Yeah, a little bit more dirty. Well, and I wonder if maybe that's something that'll come up in the Thunderbolts of like, this is like I can't think of her whole fucking name, but Del Fontaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus character. She's kind of like a sketchy Nick Fury, and Secret Invasion looks kind of gritty, and so I'm like, I want to see some dirt on this bitch.
Yeah.
I like them grimy. The only other thing I had was I've seen some people talking on like Reddit and shit like that some of the architecture around Kang kind of resembles the Ten Rings. And you figure you haven't seen Shang-Chi yet, but the post-credit scene for that is Shang-Chi and, I can't think of his friend's name. Katie. Getting kind of picked up by Wong and taken to meet Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And is there another Avenger there?
No, I think it's just those two.
But they're talking about that they've looked at the rings and all that, and they seem to be putting off a beacon into deep space.
But they don't know where.
But they don't know, is it calling to people or what is it, right? And so you're like, oh, man. And then, so I've seen people talking that maybe the bangles from Kamala Khan and then the 10 rings, what if they're future tech that Kang left behind for himself to find, right? He went back through time and dropped them off for him to find.
I mean, that would make sense if there's an infinite number of Kangs.
Right. And so then it's like, that beacon's gone off, and now and then potentially something with Cassie putting on the beacon to the quantum realm, and it's like, oh, maybe she amplified the signal, right, to reach him. I don't know, but that'd be kind of cool, to tie it in, because so far, like we've talked about, it's all kind of disjointed where it doesn't really connect, and so I think it'll be kind of exciting to see Kang, who was in Loki, kind of connect, and then maybe you can have this be the connective tissue, which would make sense as well with it being the first film of Phase 5. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, that's where we're headed.
I just want Simu Liu again.
I think I mentioned it last week, but Simu Liu tweeting about his grand return to the MCU. It was in She-Hulk on the Disney Plus screen. But no, so any more thoughts on Quantumania?
No, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I'm excited to see where they take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then I want to talk about Henry Cavill talking on social media. Talking about his return to the DCEU, which still doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. But big spoilers for Black Adam in its mid-credits here. So we haven't seen the movie yet, but
no, we'll have to go see it.
Yeah, it was semi-spoiled for me.
Did it come out this past Friday?
It came out this weekend. So Superman appears in the mid-credits scene of Black Adam. And Henry Cavill has put on a video on Instagram that basically he was like, yeah, I want to make it official. Like, I'm back as Superman. And he kind of said something to the effect of, like, basically what you saw in Black Adam was just a taste of what's coming in the future. And he went on to, like, thank the fans and things like that. And that, really it wasn't possible without their support. But then he basically, it sounds like there's plans for him to at least appear in one solo film, but we don't have, like, any writers or directors at least announced. I don't know if they're not attached or if they just haven't announced it. But then they didn't write off the possibility of future appearances in other films.
I like Henry Cavill's Batman.
Superman.
Superman.
Jesus, get
Oh
her
my
outta
God.
Do you think he has popcorn or Frito chip feet smell? I take him as a Frito feet man myself.
Cheetos. Isn't that what our friend called her baby's
Yeah.
feet? Cheetos.
Cheetos.
Because they straight up smell like Cheetos.
I'm picturing popcorn because...
Like movie theater butter popcorn.
Yes, because that's the best type of popcorn. Because Henry Cavill, when he's in a suit and cleaned up, can make women just kind of lose their minds. But when you get him all greased up and dirty, he can move mountains and change nations.
That's right.
My.
Like him in The Witcher, I have to tell Colin to leave the room. Like,
Yeah,
I
you
need,
gotta
I need some time to myself.
I don't want you to see this.
Just getting all frothy.
Yeah. Her dog is drooling. That's disgusting.
Dogs are barking.
Whoop.
My
No.
hellhounds are out.
So, oh my God. Jesus.
Is it your mother?
Yeah. Hello. Hi. It was good. We're recording the podcast right now. So, all right. You want to yell hi? You're on the podcast. You can beat Dad. I said if you yell hi, you can be on the podcast and beat Dad.
Okay.
Say it.
I was waiting
There
for
you
her
go.
to say, like, sup,
I don't know
bitches.
Here, I don't know. Put you on speaker.
Do it again.
Yeah, do it again, loud.
Hi.
There we go. Yeah, that came through. So you can tell Dad that you were on the podcast before him.
Yeah, that's only if you play it be in the podcast.
Oh, I will. I will. You'll be on it. But I got to go.
Oh, that'll really bake your dad's potato.
All right, bye. I love you. Bye. Jesus Christ.
Your dad is going to have a meltdown when he hears your mom on this podcast.
He just immediately there's a ring at the doorbell. How's he know? But no. What were we talking about before my mom interrupted? That's very motherly of her. How's your game? I can't pause, Mom. It's online.
I don't remember.
I don't know. We were talking about, I think Morgan was just sweating.
Henry
I was sweating
Cavill.
for Henry
Yeah.
Cavill.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's going to be back as Superman. I think you and I had kind of talked about upstairs, like, what if they just do a semi-soft reboot of the DCEU where, like, yeah, the stuff happened, but you don't necessarily have to have seen it to follow it. Because, I mean, they're at a weird spot of, like, you can't scrap and start over. Because
They put too much money into
you keep
it.
scrapping and restarting. So maybe they just keep pressing forward, and yes, that stuff happened, but maybe kind of. Or like we talked about, maybe they use the Flash movie to put that in a different universe so that, yeah, that stuff still happened, but you can kind of pick and choose. Kind
Yeah.
of like we talked about with Charlie Cox, where you get to pick which parts of the Daredevil series actually
Right.
happened or not.
The hallway fight scene.
Yeah, all of the hallway fights and all of the people that he's romanced.
Yes.
All of them.
All of them. All three of them. Right? Elektra.
His
Paige.
secretary.
Karen Page, yep. And then the night nurse.
Oh, I forget in the very beginning.
Yeah. What's her name? Claire.
Yeah.
Claire the night nurse. And then now, She-Hulk.
Okay, man.
He
He's
bagged
got-
her with them devil dogs.
He's got a
Them
sturdy
hellhounds.
back.
He's got,
Right,
a,
he's got a
sturdy
sturdy
back.
back. But yeah, so that's kind of exciting to see him come back. Because, I mean, it's been going on 10 years since he did his first movie in The Man of Steel. And then he's only had really 2 more appearances since then. So it's like it's like a James Bond thing where he's done it for almost 10 years, but has only had like 3 or 4 appearances if you count Black Adam. So, yeah. It'll be kind of cool to see him get it back and see what they do with it.
I haven't seen too many Superman or just DC movies in general.
Yeah.
You're not missing out on anything.
That's what I hear. But I don't know, like just through trailers or just seeing him as Superman itself, I mean, it looks good. I mean,
Yeah, he's got the look.
Yeah, he's got the look
He's
down.
got the look.
Yeah, he's a good Superman.
So yeah, maybe if they just get their shit together,
Yeah,
get a
get
good
the right-
script on him.
Yeah, get the right team together. So, The Hollywood Reporter is reporting. Oh, sorry, I flipped my stories around. Fuck. No, just get really mad for no reason. Mother! No, so Black Adam has had a nearly $140 million worldwide box office opening on a budget of 175 to 200 million. So not a great start when you consider marketing. But Dwayne Johnson's movies, apparently, from when I was doing my reading on the box office, his movies notoriously have long legs, meaning like they'll run in theaters for weeks on end.
Everybody likes The Rock.
And do pretty decent over time. And so there's potential there for, apparently this is his highest opening outside of the Fast and Furious franchise.
Okay.
So not a bad, note for him where, okay, if a Dwayne Johnson movie has good legs and this is his biggest solo outing to start, that's not a bad place for them to start from. And then if you do get good word of mouth, like with what we talked about in the mid-credits, that people are like, it's not. And I mean, we've heard very mixed things where like critic reviews are very critical, but then fan reviews are very favorable. And so you do have to kind of think like the DCU has been fraught with like brigading of sorts where like they're the biggest fans in the world. And so they're going to, review this thing heavily, but you gotta kind of, like we always talk about, the truth probably somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so even if it is a 7 or a 10, 7 or 8 out of 10, I'd be solid with that. It's worth taking a shake at it. But apparently, I was telling you guys, it's been weeks apparently since like the box office domestically has had over $100 million, and this past weekend was the first time since like weeks ago.
Yeah,
and it was because of Black Adam and Tickets to Paradise with George Clooney and Julia Roberts. So the box offices, the theaters have kind of been like holding on for dear life. And now they're like, oh, thank God. We got a superhero movie. Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
Which is kind of a weird state of affairs where, like, if they don't have a superhero movie, does the theater survive? You know what I mean? Like, without superhero movies, what are people going to go spend hundreds of millions of dollars on?
Everything, anywhere, all at once.
Oh, they did spend, what was it, $100 million, right? It crossed $100 million. But, my screen went dark. There we go. And then on the flip side of things, the early, like, projections for Wakanda Forever, as far as like based off pre-sales and however they calculate that shit, right? Number pushers. Fucking $175 million opening domestically alone. Yeah. So that's a massive box office. That's Avengers level box office. It's like, oh man, poor Black Adam. You know what I mean? But also, small beginnings, right?
Listen, I said it from the get-go when we saw the brow raise and the Wilhelm
first trailer.
scream. Yeah, and I've said it back then, and I know I've talked.
Doesn't excite you.
It doesn't look good to me.
I think it's just going to be The Rock in a black suit.
Yep. The Rock.
He doesn't act. He plays the same character.
Which is himself.
In every movie. He doesn't change his voice. He doesn't change his body. Nothing. Right. It's just The Rock.
Yeah.
He plays The Rock.
The Rock as Black Adam.
But then if you see a movie like The Rundown from, 2003?
Yeah.
That's not a bad movie.
Is that the one where he shoots the soft gun that has the beanbags in it?
I think so, with Sean Michael Scott or whatever his name is.
Little Thunder, Little Lightning.
Little Thunder, Little Lightning. Yeah, I mean that's a good movie. And he's got he is less Dwayne Johnson in that movie, but
I think that's like right as he first started, and then he realized that everyone liked him more as himself than as a character.
Yeah, and I think it's like a winning recipe of like you put me in a tan shirt, I get sweaty in the jungle. We're gonna make fucking money here, people.
Yeah. I show off my arm muscles and my tattoos. Yeah. You're good. You're solid.
And then it's like I take some steroids and I go to the gym 3 times a day, and
make my veins pop.
Make a movie, and I get a couple $100 million. And it's like, why wouldn't you?
It's good to go.
Yeah, like fuck. Who knows? But I just thought it was interesting to talk about like that. Basically, the theaters have been holding on for these movies to come out, and it's like, I don't know. That's not a healthy business model. That's not promising for the movie theaters. For it's like, oh, thank God. Thank God Wakanda Forever is going to make $200 million in its first weekend because we were hurting. And I think that's partly a product of, honestly, COVID kind of did a number on the movie theaters. But then also streaming in general, and then just the state of movie making, where the movies that are getting made are large budget films. And so you end up with less films overall. And then you look at, like, Disney owns all the movies, You've got, like, 3 major studios making movies. and so there's just less volume.
And I mean, when it comes to Disney movies, 90% of them are released straight away to streaming.
Yeah,
And you
there's
pay $30 flat fee for this movie to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, hell, you could have a party.
Right, yeah,
And
get
have all
12
the
people
friends
together.
over. You get food. You get friends.
Now they do seem to have slowed down on that, but I've noticed that like even still, even though they're not doing that, a movie might go to streaming. Like Thor: Love and Thunder went to Disney Plus after like 60 days.
Well,
Yeah.
what was it? There was that big old case. I think it was on. Yeah, it was on Disney Plus when Disney Plus first came out with Black Widow. How like
Oh, yeah.
it went to streaming
And I'm
so
sure
quick.
that's also played a part in.
Yeah, and then she sued him because they
'cause it was
released
day
it.
and date. It was in theaters and on Disney Plus on the same day.
Yeah.
And they kind of fucked her out of box office money by saying that didn't count as box office.
Yeah, so ScarJo got her loyal real quick up in there.
Yeah, but the contract also had phrasing of like traditional release. Well, it's not a traditional release, so you've jumped outside of the terms of the contract. Now we got to renegotiate, right? Is the kind of the logic there. But so I mean, and then I think Emily Blunt did the same thing with
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins, or no, it was her and John Krasinski over A Quiet Place, where they weren't going against Disney; they were going against Paramount or whoever owns.
I thought that was HBO.
I don't remember, but whoever owns the distribution rights to that, they did the same thing to them, where it was like I don't think it was day and date, but I think it was like maybe a 6-week window or a 2 or 3 week window.
Yeah,
And
it wasn't
really
long.
short.
Yeah.
And so, they were kind of the canary in the coal mine of like, all right, we're going to put this movie out and see how it does, and potentially lost money on the box office. And then because of the way the contracts are phrased, lost money out of their pocket.
What about Dune? Figure the director of
Denny
Dune.
Villeneuve was not happy
He
about
was not
that.
happy that HBO put it directly to streaming the same day that it was released.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't make movies to put them to streaming.
Yeah. Like that's what he sounds like.
Yeah.
But, the Safdie brothers, along with Adam Sandler.
The
are-
Shafty brothers.
Yeah, the Shafty brothers. That's their porn name. The Safdie brothers, along with Adam Sandler, are working on a new project for Netflix. And so those are the brothers that wrote and directed Uncut Gems with him. Very good movie. You didn't watch it, I know.
I didn't watch it.
Did you watch it or did you watch part of it? You watched the whole
I
thing?
watched the whole thing.
Yeah. It's a good movie, but there's like the common like commentary on it of like, that movie is just stress.
I liked it.
Made it. Yeah, no.
I thought it was a really good
Didn't say it was
movie.
bad. It was a very good movie, but the core emotion of it is like
Mm-hmm.
anxiousness and stress, anxiety and stress. Where you're like, Jesus Christ, guy! Like he seems to make the wrong decision every time and just makes his situation worse. And so it's one of those where you're like, I don't know that I want to watch it again. It was very good, but I've never found myself going, you know what sounds like a good time? Let's watch Uncut Gems again. And that's not a critique of the movie. I think, if anything, that's a testament to the movie where I'm like, they really managed to make me uncomfy watching it.
It really stunk to spoiler alert. At the end, he made it.
Yeah.
Like he
won the big pot,
won
and
the-
then they
and then-
shoot him in the forehead.
and then he gets killed.
Yeah, where you're like, it did work.
All
it paid off.
all of that for nothing.
Yeah,
Well, that sucks, a big fat one.
Yeah.
yeah. He keeps placing them bets, and you're like, dude, you're digging a deeper hole, and then he gets out of it, but
And then it just doesn't
he
matter.
gets shot because he still burnt bridges that he shouldn't have. But so apparently this new film is said to involve the world of high-end card collecting, and so I'm like, oh no, are they going to do?
Is that like Magic and
Well, so I'm wondering if it's like,
Pokemon
I'm thinking
and-
more like sports memorabilia, like this very rare card that's
Baseball
worth,
cards
yeah,
and-
baseball cards, basketball
I don't know.
cards.
I have a friend who's a very intelligent man who spent $15,000 on a Magic card, and that is
Oh.
now worth like $30,000.
Oh, yeah, no, I
He
know.
keeps it in a vault.
And so, I mean, it might be a little bit of everything, but I do wonder if it's just going to be Uncut Gems again. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's the world of high-end jewelry and gambling, and
It could be. I don't know.
they could do like what's it, the Cornetto trilogy, which is like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and This is the End, At World's End,
Yeah.
where it's not an official trilogy of like one following the other, but it's almost anthology style of they're the same crew and like kind of the same feelings,
Yeah.
right? And so they could do something like that where it's this one's about this world and that kind of high stakes stuff. But they do need to find like a thread of like, okay, how's it different? How is it not Uncut Gems, but cards this time?
Right.
Whereas Hot Fuzz was not Shaun of the Dead. You know what I mean? It wasn't Shaun of the Dead, but cops.
Shaun of the Dead is an amazing movie.
The first thing I think of is just the meme where he's loading the shotgun. Shime.
Shame.
I just think about when they're breaking into the bar and the jukebox is playing and it's playing a Queen
Yeah,
song.
it's playing. Yeah, we talked about that with my dad.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's playing "Don't Stop Me Now."
That's
by
what it
Queen.
is.
And they're like beating the zombies to the beat of the song.
Yeah.
And he yells out, "Kill the Queen!"
Kill the Queen!
And of course, they're all British, so they're like, "What?"
And it's like,
He's like,
"No,
"Not that
no,
Queen.
not that Queen, that Queen."
That Queen.
Points to the jukebox. Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, so there's really not much to know other than the fact that the Safdie brothers and Adam Sandler are working together again. And last time they did, they made a really good movie. So.
Yeah, Shafty Brothers are pretty cool, so I'm excited.
Shafty Brothers.
All right, so end of our news here. We are ending on the Konami info dump on their Silent Hill transmission. So strap in, bitches. Easy. So Silent Hill 2 remake is officially happening, and I creamed a little bit.
Yes.
Because it's one of the best survival horror games ever made. And what are you doing? Are you kissing the mic?
Oh, I'm just getting ready for it. Just getting ready for Silent Hill.
And so it's a full from the ground up remake using the Unreal Engine 5, which is, I don't know if you guys have seen any the experimental footage from Unreal Engine 5, but it's they can make some shit that looks like photorealistic stuff.
Is that what you showed me with the cars in the parking lot?
Yeah, where you're you look at still photos from renders and you're like, yeah, what are you showing me? It's a parking lot. And you go, no. That's a video game engine making that.
Yeah, that was me with you. I'm like, that looks.
It looks like a car
It
lot.
looks like at the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
I saw something that I think will blow you guys' mind about Unreal Engine 5.
You know what's bad about this setup is I can see the fucking dirty look in your face when you're about to lead me into a fake out. I could see
I don't like
you go,
doing this anymore.
You know, you get a look of I'm gonna fucking get him. No, wait, what's the thing about Unreal Engine 5?
Yeah,
Very real fact.
It's in print. I invented it.
You made it.
I made it. That's the whole thing, yeah.
Jesus Christ. I was waiting on something better.
It all started when I just took a fat rip of the bong.
Yeah,
and just you know what? I think
What if video games looked better? And
You know
everybody
what I
went,
can do?
everybody went, oh man, we never thought of that.
I mean, why don't we just make video games
look
look
better.
hyper realistic?
Big brain mode.
Jesus Christ. Pay this man more. No, but so Silent Hill 2, yeah, it's happening. And it's said to have seamless gameplay was one of the details that stuck out to me, with 0 loading screens. And so I wonder if it'll be... obviously, I don't think it will be God of War style, where it's a single camera shot, but I don't know. Maybe it will be. Because, that works really effectively in God of War, where, it's something that you don't actively think about, but then when you do think about it, you're like, yeah, shit, yeah, you're right. There's no... God of War is all a single camera behind and moves around them. There's no loading screens or anything. And it's all played as if it's one continuous shot, like if it was a movie. There's no edits.
There's no loading screens?
0.
What about when you're traveling through the portal?
You're standing in the room and you hear the and then the doors open and you're in the next realm. There's 0 loading screens.
Damn, dude. Learn your shit.
And there's 0 edits. It's all one shot. So I wonder if they'll do something like that when they say seamless,
I still got to beat that game.
Seamless
Well, I beat the
gameplay.
story mode, but the Valkyries.
Yeah, no, the Valkyries are fucked, dude. I'll
Can't.
I'll eat dog shit before I fucking beat the Valkyries.
White dog shit.
White dog shit. You don't eat that white dog shit. I'm gonna plow into your face with my fist. No, and so Silent Hill Townfall is a spin-off that is in production.
Ray's being extremely noisy, and she's just standing there staring at me. So I picked her up.
Picked her up to get her to stop, and she's just derping. She's got her tongue hanging halfway out her head.
She just keeps digging at her ears behind me, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Mommy needs to clean your ears, but please, shut up.
So yeah, Silent Hill Townfall is a spin-off. A spin-off game that is being produced by No Code Studios in association with Annapurna Interactive. And so there's not really much known about it. They kind of showed more like a concept trailer than anything, with a little portable TV, flipping through channels and seeing some static and stuff, where periodically you see some weird Silent Hill creatures and things like that, but not a lot really given away there. All they really said was that it promises to be a unique take on the franchise from a highly decorated AA dev as opposed to a AAA dev, where they've made a couple really good horror games on Steam and things like that, where one's called Untold Stories, and it's basically loading up a bunch of different VHS tapes, and each VHS tape is a short, maybe 10-minute horror game basically. And so it's like, that's an interesting concept. And I wonder if they're going to play with that, with like that handheld TV setup of like somebody sitting at a desk clicking through channels, right?
Yeah.
And then the one that really has me like intrigued is Silent Hill F, which is the one with like the really weird
Is it like the vines and
like
the
the red fungus or
yeah.
vines looking thing, and then what do you call it? Tryptophobia.
Yeah,
where you see like the pores opening up on the person's skin.
That
and
is my
stuff
worst
sprouting.
nightmare.
Yeah, and like the stuff sprouting out of it.
Like I get a full body chill thinking about it.
cool.
Dope. And so that one looks interesting to me. I do wonder how it's going to be Silent Hill like adjacent or tied in, because it's set in Japan in the 60s and Silent Hill is like the town, right? And so I'm like, okay, is it going to be related to the town somehow story wise or whatever? But the people involved on it, I didn't write down their names because I can't pronounce them very well. But like the person writing it is a famous Japanese like digital comic
He's
writer.
a webtoon.
He makes web comics that are like very popular horror comics. And then there's an artist working on it as well who does the same sort of thing. And so I think that's an interesting person to get to go, hey, what if you made a Silent Hill game set in Japan so it can be like almost Japanese horror? And they're talking about doing the juxtaposition of both beautiful and terrifying in the landscape and scenery, which I could see with like that shot of the woman basically turning into like flora of like, fungus and almost like coral reef.
It was
sprouting out,
beautiful.
and then her fucking face falls off.
Yeah.
We were watching it, and I'm like, oh, that is beautiful
And
for
her
being
face
Silent
slid
Hill.
off.
And
You
her
see a
face slid off, and I
tear-
went,
yeah.
oh, never mind.
See a tear fall down her face, and then her face just falls
Kind of
off.
slides off.
I'm like, there's
Yeah.
Silent Hill.
And so it is kind of, it is an interesting take of like Silent Hill. The games are very much just like, here's fog and scary creatures, but what if you went, well, what if we took the creepy aspects of the creatures and made it beautiful, and where you're like, that is beautiful, but horrifying to look at, So that's pretty intriguing. And then Silent Hill Ascension is a live event planned for 2023 that I'm not really sure how it's going to, how it'll work or pan out. I mean, but people from around the world are going to be able to tune into a stream on multiple platforms and control the characters inside of the narrative through their choices. So the tagline was like face your trauma together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we save her? Things like that, where I don't know what the story is of it, but yeah, the idea is that you'll be able to tune in and basically through your choices or maybe through like a voting system in the stream and things like that, you'll control the flow of the narrative. And I do like the idea of it being a live experience that a lot of people tune into. And, maybe it'll get big off of the idea of like, what is it? FOMO, fear of missing out on it. Where you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I don't know, pretty interesting. And then the biggest thing for me outside of gaming was that there's a new Silent Hill film being made with the creator of the original film from 2006, and it sounds like it's going to be somewhat of a sequel to that film in just some of the ways that he's talked, but with none of the he didn't say none of the characters, but basically it's going to be Silent Hill 2 the game, but in that same Silent Hill, where he kind of was fascinated by the idea of like the game Silent Hill 2 changing the rules of, well, Silent Hill's now like a filter through this guy's eyes, right? The main character of Silent Hill 2 is going back to Silent Hill to find he thought dead wife who sent him a letter telling him to meet him there. And so it's kind of like, going through hell to get your loved one back as far as he's concerned. And so, okay, how can we change the narrative here? And instead of Silent Hill being this world that this woman enters, what does Silent Hill look like through this guy's eyes?
Yeah.
Right? And so,
It looks like a big fat nope.
yeah, it looks like a pass. Yeah.
Pass.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. Hold on. I don't know which one of these bitches is laughter. I'm going to push We've got 4 preset sounds. I don't know which one does what. How do I stop it?
That's obviously not it.
Oh, no.
Is that just some 70s pop funk?
Yeah. Huh. Well, I'm not pushing any others because that was longer than I thought. I was hoping I could just push it to stop it, but it just ran again.
Kept looping it.
Oh, no.
What have I done?
So we'll have to figure out, make one of these like laughter or applause.
Is this life now?
One of them, what did I tell you? One of them, sad trombone is what it said. Just that, wah, 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 wah. Yeah, that's all I got from Silent Hill. So if you're ready to talk about your spoopy stories,
I am.
Let's get
Let's
spooky.
hop in.
spoopy story.
It's not enough.
Spoopy story time. So, let's see here. Let me open up my... The fuck was that?
Chris over here rocking his chair.
The chairs are rocking. Don't come a knocking.
Don't come
you
a
know?
knocking.
Like, don't. Who wants to start? The way I've got it written down was myself, Morgan, Chris. But if you want to do it in another order, that's fine.
It's fine with me.
All right. I've been doing a lot of talking. Chris, why don't you start? Fuck. So he's sweating. He's like, how was I supposed to...
I wasn't ready.
Yeah, he's ready. He's got his laptop all pulled up and everything.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to talk about the Walton experience, otherwise known as like Fire in the Sky from the movie adaptation in 1993.
Yeah.
So the Walton experience, I have everything pulled up. I have an exact book overview on it. I am just going to read it.
Yeah.
But it says, on November 5th of 1975, a group of loggers in the mountains of a northeastern Arizona observed range saw a strange, unusual, bright light in the sky. One of those men, Travis Walton, recklessly left the safety of the truck to take a closer look. Suddenly, as he walked toward the light, Walton was blasted back by a bolt of mysterious energy. As his companions fled in fear when they reported the encounter... his companions fled in fear when they reported the encounter with a UFO, something they would have considered impossible if they had not witnessed it themselves. The men were suspected for murder. For 5 days, authorities mounted a massive manhunt in the search of Walton, or his body. Then Walton reappeared, disoriented and literally unable to tell the whole story of his terrifying encounter. In Fire in the Sky, Travis Walton relates to his own words to the best documented account of an alien abduction yet recorded. The story of his harrowing ordeal at the hands of the silent captors and his return to a disbelieving world of hostile interrogators, explosive press, and self-styled quote-unquote debunkers. Travis recounts the struggle to get a fair hearing and confronts his detractors.
You got it.
With a
You went offline for a minute.
stinging rebuttal. So, I mean, that's pretty much the movie too, but I have more stuff to go into about that.
I like that the guys were like, yo, our friend was taken by a UFO, and the cops were like, liars.
You fucking killed him, didn't you?
You killed him. He's out there somewhere.
Yeah, and so, which was one of the things I wanted to talk about with this one, because here, you know, the whole thing is he gets abducted, and I looked up scenes from the movie, because I've seen it years ago, but I just rewatched some of the things, and they're all freaking out, and they drove off, and then they were like, we got to go back to get him. And, like, all of them were like,
yeah, pass. We're not doing that.
Pass. But so that was going to be my question is, would you
Go back for you?
Yeah. Yeah, fine. Let's say I got abducted. Would you go back?
First off, I need your audience to know that my flight or fight is 100% flight. If you're getting abducted by aliens, my bitch ass is outrunning the UFO.
Gone.
I'm gone. Do not depend on me when the world starts to end.
No.
I have jazz hands and a man scream, and I'm gone.
I mean, what am I supposed to do? Like, how am I... Go back for you? What do you mean? Like, they fucking took you.
But, like, they didn't know. Because that's the thing. They saw the light. They saw it hit them. They saw it get blown back, and then they skirted.
To be fair, if there's a UFO flying overhead and they're coming after you, I don't know if I'd hang around.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I'd go back, but
Guess I'm just better than you.
what do you want me to do?
Here, I mean, why do we all gotta die? You know? Like,
I mean, I would probably wait until the sun came up, and then I would go back. But right then and there,
I'll give you about 8 hours to
Yeah.
die, and then I'll come back.
but right then and there, when the
gone.
moon is full and bright,
Who knows what happens?
I'm not hanging out.
Can't find him. He's gone.
It's not for me.
And then as I was doing research for this, another one of the like another alien abduction that kind of is really big into that made it really big into pop culture is, for whatever reason, the first example that comes to my mind is going to be Planet 51 with none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson is in Planet 51.
Yeah, he plays oh god.
I have no clue what Planet 51 is.
It was a Nickelodeon movie. You guys
It was past our time.
Okay.
bunch of fucking boomers. 09. It came out in 09.
You're a Zoomer, is what it is. You know what I was doing in 09?
What were you doing in
I was
09?
jacking off, you know?
I was dancing in show choir, okay?
Yeah. I was jacking off and watching MCU, you know?
I was jerking off in the bathtub before camp. Cum would come out of me.
It's called dry run, you know?
Dry
Dry
It was a dry
run.
But in area or Planet 51.
That's when we need the rim shot sound pads. Yeah.
But in Planet 51, it starts off and you're watching a scary alien movie.
Right.
And it's like back in the 60s, the classic, the guy and the girl are out in the field and then, an alien encounter comes in. And that all kind of comes from Betty and Barney Hill. And I believe I've talked about Benny and Barney on the podcast before.
Yeah.
So I won't go everything over there, but that one made a huge impact because that's just the classic.
I'll say, is that
setup,
like
basically.
the first like truly recorded what supposedly alien
I know
abduction?
that when we talked earlier in the year, I know that it wasn't necessarily the first, but like
It was
the first like national.
the
It's
one
in the
that-
paper.
That happened in the 60s, didn't it?
61.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, there's another podcast I listened to that talked about it.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I didn't realize there were other podcasts.
Yeah, we focus on the most important one, which is the Simply Wound podcast.
Hey,
The Church of Simply Wound.
I do my part and I listen to it.
Heretic.
I do my weekly pray session on Wednesday.
You know what we do to heretics? You know what we do to heretics? We
burn them at the stake.
Burn them at the stake. You will hang for this. No.
But just,
Slather me in butter.
some other man butter. But
Make sure you rotate me every 10 minutes.
I wanted to talk about, because also I know I didn't talk about my encounter that I was going to talk about
you were gonna
last
talk about
week.
last week. Yeah.
Were you
And-
abducted by an alien?
I was.
If you were, that explains a lot.
I was going to say that's adding up.
It all is making sense now.
Shook me with his mind powers and shook me like a dog.
They turned me gay.
They put stuff in my butt, and I liked it.
No, but I was driving home from work and, I'm hopping off the exit and I saw what I thought was a helicopter. I was like, oh, wow. I was like, that's a pretty low looking helicopter.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't see any blades on it, though. It looked like just the cockpit.
Yeah.
You
And then
said cock.
He did.
Cock.
He did say cock.
Cock and pit. But then it, turned and then just kind of went away. And I was looking around. I was looking around for a little bit, trying to find this
where did it
thing. Right, but, I just kept drove
Right.
down. I guess I just didn't see it fly by, but I got to thinking, I was like, I didn't see any blades on that, anything like that. And
Yeah.
If it comes back looking for you and I get abducted by an alien, I will kill you when I get back.
That's the fourth kind, right?
Yeah.
Where they fucking take him out through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
take him out through the window.
Yeah.
They come
They
in.
come in and like the who's the actress in that? That was me, I think.
Someone just fucking ripped ass.
I'd say it was me, but I'm like,
I like
it
that
was
you
me,
said,
I think.
I
It was
think.
me, I think. Well, I'm like, I think that's what you're smelling, unless there is dog shit around here. But I think it was.
That's
me.
what I thought. I was
'Cause
like, man,
I
what,
let
dog
out,
shit here or
I
something?
let out the worst kind of fart, where it's more like just a leak, like and then it's just hot acid. You're like, oh no.
Liquid ass.
Yeah,
Do you
where
remember that?
Yeah, where you're like, was that a fart or diarrhea? 'Cause
We
it had the,
We had so many fucking kids in high school spray liquid ass just in the
Yes.
halls. And dude, I remember I had a teacher who it happened for the fourth time, and it was right in front of her room, and she came out and she God damn it! Storms back in. Son of a bitch! This woman's fucking blowing a blood vessel in her neck. Just 'cause
That's where high school teachers have an advantage over middle school and elementary teachers. When they get pissed off, they can be like, listen here, motherfuckers.
listen, you sons of bitches. Just steps out into liquid ass and is like, oh, motherfuckers. Son of a Is that all you had about the aliens? Speaking of aliens.
But to Fire in the Sky, some of the things that he talked about that I wanted to mention, taking different approaches to probing, because they did do experiments on him.
Yeah.
And they did the one where they kind of wrapped him up in that film
Yeah.
and then that they sprinkled
horrifying.
water
Yeah.
on it that made it impossible to move, and
Yeah.
it's not like the classic they put a stethoscope in your ass and
Right,
feel
yeah.
a heartbeat.
Yeah, no.
But he comes back and it's
Don't
like,
they do eye stuff to him?
yeah, they put him in this film, first just all the way up to his neck so he can't move.
Yeah.
And then he's screaming, and then they put another one over his head, and then they cut a hole on the eye as well as the mouth.
Yeah.
And they shove like this disgusting brown looking goop just into his
throat.
mouth, and then put something that holds his mouth open but has that tube where they can feed a tube down into his body, and they do the same thing with an eye, holds his eye open.
That's horrifying.
And
Yeah.
from there, you don't see exactly what they do, but I mean, you hear him gagging on, because that shows
shoving
them
the tube down his throat.
yeah, and he's gagging and trying to breathe on it, and then they don't say what it was for, but it.
Yeah, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know why they're doing what they're doing to him.
But maybe it's just because since it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but the clip I was watching kind of had it. He was going to the hospital when he first came back,
Right.
and it was showing like flashbacks
Yeah.
of it, and like seeing, because
It's
when you
terrifying.
first see that itself, you're like, what the fuck is this? How does someone even think of something like this so outlandish? And then like
The parallels.
it's going back and forth between like the hospital and the alien
Yeah,
ship,
like the
and they are
emergency room and
looking
that.
like this looks, like
Yeah.
it matches.
Yeah.
It's just it's an alien, it just they don't have concrete,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
right. They have
They have different tools.
right? So I mean, putting that spin on like the probe and stuff like that really stands out, and I think super weird.
Yeah.
And then there's that other scene where, because it's like, if we were in that case, if we were the aliens, we're doing the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I need to know how this guy works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at zoos.
Yeah.
Look at like Darwin coming upon the the Galapagos Islands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you pick animals and you study them.
yeah. And
How else do you learn?
through the other clip that there was he was in like some chamber,
Uh-huh.
and he wakes up and he's covered in goo, but if you notice on his shoulders, it looks like something's starting to grow onto his clothes from the walls itself.
Yeah.
And he breaks out of like this gelatinous, almost I think of like a fruit roll up. Imagine like a really
Yeah.
thick, long fruit roll up.
Yeah.
Just put it over like a chamber.
Yeah.
And he kind of pokes his arm through it and escapes, and he's in space, so he's floating around and everything. But
Yeah.
he falls into another one, and you can see that like all the vines that were growing were way more excessive, and this body's just decomposing.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh. He woke up before, because they were going to let him die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kind of keep him there, and it's going
He
to
was not
decompose.
supposed to
yeah.
do that.
Maybe they're studying decomposition.
Right, how
or-
long
yeah.
it takes, anything like that, and just
Yeah.
different subjects. And then, he starts running around, finds the suits, and then that's when they kind of like, fuck this guy, drop him off.
Yeah.
He kicks one of them in the face.
Yeah.
Because he's
Get
spinning
the fuck
around.
outta here.
And like, I get this guy out of here. He made us look like a fool.
Fools.
But I don't know. I just thought it was super cool, and I'm all about alien abductions, and
Yeah.
especially going into the pulp culture. And they make, going back to Planet 51, which was made in 2009, they have the classic, they make the joke of the probe,
Right.
but then they do actually have one. And again, it's very similar in this, and this is even in like a Nickelodeon show, but
Yeah.
they're going to take out his brain, and kind of look at that, as well as like harvest his organs. And it's
Yeah.
just like, we look at this as a society, and we're like, this is shit
That's horrifying.
aliens would do, and like, we could never do something
Yeah.
like that. That shit we do on the reg.
Yeah, well, I mean, what is it? Stephen Hawking, I think, had the quote. I mean, I'm misquoting him or paraphrasing him, because I don't have the quote here, but where somebody basically asked him about, like, what do you think about us getting visited by aliens? And he's like, I don't want to fucking get visited by aliens.
If they're anything like us, we
Yeah.
should be horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, if they're anything like us, we know what happens when a more advanced species meets a less advanced species, or
If we-
race.
yeah, if we can't, what is it? If we can't milk, if it doesn't produce milk or some
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of resource,
Yeah. What's its purpose? We'll kill it.
we'll kill it.
Yeah. Yep.
Taking up space,
I
you
mean,
don't need anything to get
like
rid of it.
I don't remember if it was him or if it was just around that same topic, but like, ask the Native Americans what it's like for to be met by a more advanced civilization. You don't want it. It's not good. It turns into genocide quickly. So yeah, terrifying.
Terrifying.
Morgan, what'd you talk about?
Well, so I didn't realize we were going to do aliens today, and I went with a ghost story. I'm going to talk about the Annabelle doll that you see in Conjuring and obviously the Annabelle franchise. So I'm going to get right into it. I got my papers because I'm living in the 40s.
That's right.
So
That's how we
according to...
keep it around here. Men are civilized.
I'm keeping it real, you know. I haven't been honored to get any electronics shut. I still have a flip phone.
That's right.
So
Next week, we're hoping she'll be able to vote.
What is it, a jitterbug?
yeah, I've got a jitterbug.
Do you remember this? Yeah. Dude, jitterbug.
I've got the Nokia from like the late 90s with
Yeah, the
Snake on
fucking
it.
Nokia brick. Yeah.
I have it like duct taped together because it's falling apart. Maybe my loving husband will upgrade me someday.
Maybe.
But anyhow, according to legend,
Go ahead.
according to legend, Annabelle is an allegedly haunted Raggedy Ann doll who is housed in the now closed occult museum of famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Annabelle was moved there after supposed hauntings in the 1970s, which I'm going to tell you about. The character based on the doll appears in the Conjuring universe as well as the Annabelle franchise. Sorry for the pause. I saw the mic moving and thought I should wait for this.
Yeah, no, yeah. You put the mic against your asshole. Yeah, it picked up.
Cut that out. I want to hear it. Continue.
So, in 1971, a girl named Donna, who was a student nurse at the time, was gifted a Raggedy Ann doll by her mom as a birthday gift, who purchased her from a secondhand store. Donna lived in a small apartment in the Northeast, I believe. I couldn't find like the real city, but I know it was Northeast, with her roommate Angie. So everything was fine for the first few days because after Donna was gifted the doll, she placed her on her bed to remind herself of the sweet gift her mom had gotten her and that she was almost done with school. Because it was like, hey, it's your birthday. You're almost done. You're going to become a nurse, you know.
You're going to be a woman.
You're going to be a woman someday.
Because what year was this?
1971.
Okay, so we're not out of your woman work.
Yeah.
But
it's still a big deal that she was getting ready to graduate nursing school.
Yeah, exactly.
So everything was fine for the first... Oh, I read that. At first, Annabelle started
Chris
with...
2.0 over here.
Damn.
At first, Annabelle started with little movements like she moved from her bed to the floor or to her chair, which could have just been put to Donna or Angie moving her and not telling the other one. Or, you know, she could have just fallen off the bed.
Right.
However, after a few weeks, it became very apparent that she was moving on her own because she would just be on the couch after being put in Donna's room, or she would just be chilling outside Angie's room against the wall when she opened the door.
Yeah,
Talk about horrifying.
You just open the door. And
It's like 6 a.m. and you're getting ready to leave for school, and she opens and it's just that Raggedy Ann doll staring at you.
Chilling.
That's
Like a
oh.
villain.
I sleep naked, so I fear opening the door and not paying attention, and just my dick smacking the fucking forehead of this doll sitting on the corner.
She won't.
Because it's a tall doll, right? Like,
Well, so
Well,
not in the movies, yes, but
in the
Show 'em
in
Raggedy
the
Ann.
real stories, yeah, I print off a picture. In the real stories, she's a Raggedy Ann doll.
I mean, that's still a. Well, yeah, it's not as tall, but
and it's more of a soft doll.
Yeah.
It's not-
Whereas the one they use in the
It's
movies
like a ceramic
is,
doll.
Yeah. This is when... So she's just chilling outside of Angie's room against the wall. And this is when it really gets fun, and also when Donna and Angie's close friend Lou comes in the picture. Because the girls have been telling Lou all about Annabelle and what was happening, and he advised them to get rid of it. He's like, girls, you gotta get rid of
burn
that
that
fucking
shit.
thing.
burn it, pitch it,
Yeah.
rip it, fuck
But-
it, something.
Donna and Angie, being a little more logical, just kind of brushed it off and stated that maybe it was just them and they weren't realizing it. You know, they're under stress, they're going to school, they're working, you know.
Raggedy Ann dolls for the devil. No Colonel Sanders, you're wrong.
So they kind of brushed them off like, no, you're just making a lot of nothing. We're just telling you that this is what's happening around here.
Right.
But that's when the notes started happening, and life starts to get a little more sinister with poor little Annabelle in there.
You say notes?
Yeah,
The doll's leaving notes?
the doll's leaving notes. So I'm gonna tell you
How
about
was the
them.
penmanship?
Well, kind of bloody, but because out of nowhere they started to find these strange notes all around the apartment written on parchment paper. And they said they didn't have any parchment paper in the apartment because nursing students don't have time to cook or bake. So the notes would say all kinds of things, but the most common were help Lou and help us.
Was it actually written in blood?
Yeah.
Whose, do we know?
No.
Like, were either of them like, oh, I've got a cut or something?
No. But I'll tell you more.
Yeah.
So we go from that creepy shit to just Donna coming home and finding Annabelle in her usual spot
Just Donna.
on her bed, but she was just seeping blood and had it like all over her hands.
Annabelle was?
Yeah.
Well, Raggedy Ann, yeah.
Yeah. She said she was just covered in it and it was all over her hands. And she's just chilling in the middle of her bed.
I don't like this story no more.
And that's when, Angie and Donna were like, fuck this. We need to get somebody here to fix what's happening.
Right,
okay.
yeah.
Which leads us to our first medium. I couldn't find her name. It just said, the first medium that became involved. Was shown the doll and told everything that had happened and was happening around the apartment. This medium proceeds to tell them that their apartment complex was built in a field where many years ago a little girl around 7 had been found dead and that it was just her spirit and the doll and her name was Annabelle. And with this new knowledge, the girls decided to tell Annabelle that, she could stay with them because they didn't want her to be alone anymore and they felt sorry for her. They're like, oh, okay, you can stay with us. They're kind of like accepting her into the house, which is like...
She's just 7. I mean, what can she do,
What can she do? But, doing that with any kind of spirit...
Yeah, when you welcome
I believe those kind of things exist. I know some people do, some people don't, some people are in between. But I've always heard that if there's a ghost in the house and you go, we welcome you, you can stay here, that's when, it really gets bad.
You gotta stop. This is an old house we're in.
Yeah, you better put that in quotations, you know what I'm saying?
Quote.
That way the ghosts don't go, oh, she's talking to me.
Yeah, we gotta get
fuck, I
technical
can come
here.
out and play.
Oh, shit.
On a technicality.
We got the green light go, he's calling us friends.
So,
Party at their house.
They tell Annabelle that she can stay, and now we fast forward a little bit, and that leads us back to Lou, who is at the apartment spending time with Angie. So picture this: the two of them are just sitting on the couch in the living room, when out of nowhere they just hear movement in Donna's room. Are they gonna make it down there?
Maybe he is dying.
I think Sullivan's eating his paw. But so the two of them are just sitting in the living room, and out of nowhere they hear movement in Donna's room, even though they knew that they were the only ones in the apartment. And because Lou was the guest, Angie made him go to the room and see what was going on. Like, oh, you're the guest here. You go see that. You go see what that's about.
Check it out.
Check it out for me.
You're
You go.
Hey, new guy.
Sport.
That's all it was. It was roasting him.
Yeah.
He's a new guy.
Hey, you go see what's happening.
check the ghost
I'm
room.
finding the bloody notes. You go check that.
Yeah.
And so Lou goes to the door, he opens it, and Annabelle was just sitting on a chair instead of the bed where she'd been left. And sometimes curiosity gets the better of us, so Lou goes in for a closer look, and as he gets closer to the doll, he gets an overwhelmingly, creepy, bad feeling.
Yeah.
Like the kind of feeling where something is really, really wrong, and you're like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, just that.
And he said, and that's when Lou said he felt like a searing pain on his chest. And when he looked down, he just had claw marks going all the way down, like someone had reached out and scratched him.
Who says people can't have sex like they're in a bar fight?
I know.
How do you know that's not just one of them bad girls on the street?
And apparently they were super deep scratches. But the fun fact about those is they healed straight away, and within 2 days they were completely gone.
Yeah.
No evidence left behind whatsoever. So obviously the first medium had no idea what she's doing. So enter Ed and Lorraine.
First medium. What a dunce.
What an idiot. She had no idea what she was doing. So enter Ed and Lorraine Warren and a priest.
Yeah, naturally.
Naturally, you gotta have the
Gotta
priest
get
in
the
there.
fucking priest in
We
there.
we need some holy water up in this apartment.
An old priest and a young priest.
So with the Warrens there, they were able to see through Annabelle's little games and see that the doll was possessed by a demon whose end game was to take possession of Donna's soul. The priest exorcised the apartment, and the Warrens took Annabelle with them to their home/occult museum. While on the way home, the Warrens experienced an array of car issues, such as the power steering going out, the brakes failing, and the engine kept stalling.
Jesus.
So Ed pulled out his handy-dandy holy water and sprinkled some on Annabelle so they could get home in one piece. So
Imagine you just don't check your car.
Yeah.
Right? And your car's just falling apart. I
Yeah.
just imagine a rust bucket.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, it must be a demon. Yeah.
where's my holy water? So
When's the last time you changed the oil? 2002. Get the holy water.
it's the only water. So once the two of them finally made it home, Ed placed the doll on his desk, and that's when she really showed what she was capable of. She would be caught levitating above the desk and found in other parts of the house. So Ed and Lorraine called in their handy-dandy priest again to bless her and try to rid the doll of the demon residing in it. And as the priest proceeded to tell Annabelle that she was just a doll, and he wasn't scared of her because she couldn't hurt him. But with that being said, on the way home, his brakes failed and he flipped the car, injuring him but not killing him. So
I thought you were going to say, yeah, he died.
no, he was severely injured, but he didn't die.
You can't stop me, Annabelle. You're just a doll. And he dies.
So to this day, Annabelle is locked away in a specially built locked glass case to keep her from roaming. And under the case, there's actually like a giant warning sign, you can see it in the picture, that says positively do not touch, as well as a cross.
Yeah.
And I didn't put it in here, but I believe that like once or twice a week, a priest will come in and bless it.
Right. I'd be like, we got to keep this thing locked.
But people who have gone to the museum before it closed, and like the employees and stuff, said that you could see Annabelle moving around the case waiting to get free. Like she would just like go to different sides of the case, like trying to get out.
When did it close?
I'm not sure. I didn't look it up.
Let me see here. What's the museum called? The Museum of Demonology? Or?
Yeah, I would just look up Ed and Lorraine Warren Occult Museum.
Lorraine Warren, not facts.
But so that's the Annabelle story that inspired, parts of The Conjuring and Twist the franchise.
The Conjuring series and all that is all about Ed and Lorraine.
Yeah, and you have a little bit of Annabelle in there.
Well, even the Annabelle movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Relate back to
I think the first Conjuring actually shows Donna and Angie and the apartment when Ed and Lorraine come to get the doll. God damn, you okay?
Sorry, it was so fucking loud, and you held the mic against your face when you did it.
Tensed up. I'm sorry.
He locked up like you're gonna electrocute it.
I didn't.
Fuck, someone kick him over. He's stuck. You're supposed to do that, right? When someone grabs onto something, and like it's electric, and they get stuck, and they're stuck holding the thing. You're supposed to just kick the shit out of them because you don't want to have prolonged contact with them because you'll get stuck. So you're supposed to just kick the fuck out of them, kick them off of the thing they're stuck on.
Rey Mysterio coming in with the 619. Booyaka, booyaka.
I was gonna say booyaka. Let's see. The Ed and Lorraine Warren Museum
I'll
here.
fucking kick you.
What is it? Closing, right? When did it close?
Yeah, when did that thing close?
Oh, fucking tell me. When did the Warren Occult Museum close? That is what I'm asking. Let's see. That shit closed in. Just give me a fucking date. I don't need why or who they are. Tell me. That's why I hate fucking modern internet. Like, closure in 2019. Thank you.
I honestly didn't think it'd been closed too
Very
long.
long. Ah, damn. Morgan's mic's making a break for it.
Just out of nowhere, fell backwards.
Do this. Pull it up some in the stand so that it isn't as back heavy, and then make sure that you keep your face close to it when you talk. All right, so that's it for Annabelle, right?
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about the Dyatlov Pass incident. Are you familiar with this, Chris?
No.
No.
I am. I have listened to him talk about it multiple times.
Yeah, this is like the one, like, not paranormal specifically, but like very bizarre incident where you're like, man, you got to do some.
And I find it very fascinating, but it's like one of his favorite things.
Yeah, where you got to do some leaps in logic necessarily to try and find the perfect answer to just what happened. So the gist here, I've got it pretty well memorized, but like for some of the specific details, I've got the Wikipedia pulled up. But so basically this group of hikers, or they, in here they call them trekkers, but so they were in the Soviet Union in 1959. Yep. So they go hiking into these Ural Mountains in February. And so, winter in Russia, right?
Hard
Up in
pass.
these hard mountains, like where it's like, oh yeah, only like professional, like you got to be a pro at this to go in there, right? And so they're going up into these mountains, and they all 9 die under very, very mysterious circumstances. And so I'm just going to kind of run down the list here. So the experienced trekking group were from like a local college, and they were led by Igor Dyatlov, which is why it's now called Dyatlov Pass, right? And so they made camp on the eastern slopes of Kholat Syakhl. Syakhl, I don't know. I'm not good at my my suckle. Yeah, in the Russian mountain range here, right? And so overnight, something causes them to cut their way out of their tent and flee the campsite while in like several different states of undress, right? Into heavy snowfall and sub-zero temperatures, right? And so after the group's bodies were discovered, there's an investigation by Soviet authorities where they determined that 6 of them had died from hypothermia. Makes sense, right? While the other 3 had been killed by physical trauma. So one victim had major, like massive skull damage.
Jesus.
And 2 had severe chest trauma.
Weren't a couple of them in trees when they found them?
Right. So, and one of the others had a small crack in the skull. So 4 of the bodies were found lying in running water in a creek. And 3 of these 4 had damaged soft tissue of the head and face. 2 of the bodies had missing eyes. 1 had a missing tongue. And 1 had missing eyebrows. So the investigation concluded that a, quote, compelling natural force had caused the deaths.
Damn, son, where'd your brows go?
Yeah. Oh my God. So numerous theories have been put forward on this. So you've got things running from animal attacks, which would make sense for some of the soft tissue damage, right? Hypothermia, obviously. An avalanche, katabatic winds, infrasound-induced panic, military involvement, and then there's some more paranormal ones like aliens, interdimensional beings, the Yeti.
I like the Yeti theory.
Did they have, I'm not sure if it's local to grow there, but do mushrooms grow there?
So I'm not sure, but I don't believe so. That hasn't been a theory that's been put forward, which leads me to believe that wouldn't be likely.
Curious if, like, they found it could even just, like, a berry or something.
Right, yeah, something hallucinogenic.
Hallucinogenic.
Well, so it gets weird.
They just go crazy.
So Russia opens an investigation, right? They go in there and basically close the thing down pretty quick. And it takes them a long time to, like, officially do the full investigation. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why'd you wait this long, right? And so there's a lot of, like, has it been covered up, things like that. And so when we get into, like, some background here, I want to find the list. Yeah, here it is. Here's the list of, like, causes of death. So I'm going to butcher their names. So Igor Dyatlov, he was 23 and he died of hypothermia. Yuri Doroshenko died of hypothermia. Yeah. Ludmila Dubinina died from internal bleeding from a severe chest trauma. So her ribs were crushed and she bled out. And then so you got hypothermia, fatal skull injury, severe chest trauma. And then one of them left early on January 28th, and he made it. He was really sick, and he goes, goes home basically, or goes back down to like the base camp at the bottom of the hill, the town.
So he didn't leave.
No, he went down to the town, and after like X amount of time passing, he's the reason that they go looking for him because he's like they should be back by now, But so here's the expedition. So the group arrives by train right to the town center at Ivdel. In the northern province of Sverdlovsk Oblast in the early morning of January 25th, right? And so they take a truck to another place, not important, a Lori village that is the last inhabited settlement to the north. So that's basically like last stop before you're in the frontier, right? And while spending the night there, the skiers purchase and eat loaves of bread to keep their energy levels up for the next day's hike, right? So on January 27th, they begin their hike up toward Gora Oratorten. And on January 28th, that's when Yuri Yudin had several health issues, including like rheumatism, so like arthritis, and congenital heart defect. And so he kind of starts to get feeling bad in his knees and stuff, and is like, I don't think I can keep doing this hike if it's only day 1 and I'm feeling this way. And so he goes back, and the other 8 go on, right? So there's diaries and cameras found, around their last campsite, making it possible to track the group's route up to the day preceding the event. So on 31st of January, the group arrives at the edge of a highland area, and they kind of begin to prepare for climbing. And so in a wooded valley, they cached surplus food and equipment that would be used for the trip back. The next day, the hikers start to move through the pass, and it seems they plan to get over the pass and make camp for the next night on the opposite side. But because of worsening weather conditions, or snowstorms and decreased visibility, they kind of stop. They lose their directions and they deviate to the west toward the top of this mountain colot. And when they realize their mistake, they decide to set up camp there so that they can kind of, all right, we'll just stop here. We'll camp. Once the weather clears, we'll get back on track.
Got to gather your
right?
bearings.
Yeah. So rather than move the, like almost a mile downhill to a forested area that would have offered them some shelter, they just kind of park right there on the side of the mountain. Uden speculates that Dyatlov probably did not want to lose the altitude they'd gained, or he decided to practice camping on the mountain slope. Because that's the other thing is like, they were all very experienced people. And so that's, some people float the idea of like, well, they made mistakes. And it's like, these are really good people. Like, really, this is what they do. They don't make mistakes.
This is their hobby.
Yeah, they aren't rookies, right? So before leaving, Dyatlov had agreed that he'd send a telegram as soon as the group returned to Visay. And it was expected this would happen no later than the 12th of February. But Dyatlov had told Uden that, he would expect it to be longer. So the 12th passes and there's no messages. There's no immediate reaction because, okay, well, maybe he was right. It is going to take a little longer. On the 20th, the travelers' relatives are like, we need someone to go looking. They need to be back by now.
They've been gone far too long.
And so the head of the institute sends a rescue group. Hi, Giggy. I could hear her sniffs. Later, the army and the police become involved with planes and helicopters, and so it's a full, we're going to find these people, right? And then on the 26th, the searchers find the group's abandoned and badly damaged tent. The campsite baffles the search party. Mikhail Sharvin, who's the student that found the tent, said that the tent was half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty, and all the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind. Right, so they just left in a hurry.
Something spooked them.
Yeah. So investigators said that the tent had been cut open from the inside. 9 sets of footprints left by people wearing only socks or a single shoe or even barefoot could be followed, leading down to the edge of a nearby wood on the opposite side of the pass, 1.5 kilometers or roughly 1 mile to the northeast. After 1,600 feet, these tracks were covered with snow. So as the forest's edge, under a large Siberian pine, at the forest's edge, the researchers found the visible remains of a small fire. So they'd been alive long enough to try and make a fire to survive. There were the first 2 bodies. Krivonishenko and Doroshenko, shoeless and dressed only in underwear. So the branches on the tree were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting that at least one of the skiers had tried to climb up to maybe look for something, or maybe he was looking for the camp.
Or to get away.
Right. Or was he hiding, running from something, right?
Climbing up to try to get out of an avalanche.
Right, and so that's one of the theories, is the avalanche theory, right? And so between the pine and the camp, the searchers found 3 more corpses, Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin, who died in poses suggesting that they were attempting to return to the tent. They were found at distances of 300, 480, and 630 meters from the tree. Finally, the remaining 4 travelers took more than 2 months. And so they were finally found on the 4th of May under 4 meters of snow in a ravine 75 meters further into the woods from the pine tree. So 3 of the 4 were better dressed than the others, and there were signs that some of the clothing of those who had died first had been removed by the others to be worn.
Yeah, they were trying to keep warm.
And so Dubinina was wearing Kurvashenko's burned, torn trousers, and her left foot and shin were wrapped in a torn jacket where she was trying to cover her feet, right? And so there's a legal inquest that goes on immediately after the first 5 bodies were found, and the medical examiner found no injuries that might have led to their deaths, and has concluded that they must have all died of hypothermia, right? Just exposure. And Slobodin had a small crack in his skull, but it was not enough to be a fatal wound. So maybe he's the one that fell from the tree, right?
About the bitch with the crushed rib cage.
Right. Well, so then an examination of the 4 bodies found in May shifts the narrative of the incident. 3 of the hikers had fatal injuries. This person, Thibaut Brignolis, had major skull damage. Dubinina, You see, I know him. Dubinina and Zoloratov had major chest fractures. According to Boris Vozrodeny, the force required to cause such damage would have been extremely high, comparable to that of a car crash. Notably, the bodies had no external wounds associated with the bone fractures, as if they had been subjected to a high level of pressure. Right. So all 4 bodies found at the bottom of the creek in a running stream of water had soft tissue damage to their head and face. For example, Dubonina was missing her tongue, eyes, part of her lips, as well as facial tissue and a fragment of skull bone.
That's like something reached out and grabbed her face.
Like snatched her face off, right? So while Zoloryatov had his eyeballs missing, and Alexander Kolovatov was missing his eyebrows. So Vizorodeny, the forensic expert, performed the post-mortem examination, judged that these injuries happened post-mortem due to the location of the bodies in the stream, right? And so just the body's exposure caused damage. And then you think about like scavengers and things like that, where we always joke about like the dogs eating the soft stuff first, but that's true. That's what animals do.
Lipsticks and eyelids.
Yeah, exactly. If it's loose and soft tissue on the face or body, like genitals, those will get eaten first. So there was initial speculation that the indigenous Mansi people, who were reindeer herders local to the area, had attacked and murdered the group for encroaching on their lands. Several of the Mansi were interrogated, but the investigation indicated that the nature of the deaths didn't support that hypothesis.
I'll say, if someone's attacking you, they would have... First off, no one is strong enough to crush someone's rib cage.
With like the force of a car crash.
Yeah.
Have you met me?
Yes, I've met you.
He's the fucking Hulk over there.
We're sturdy people. We can take quite a beating.
So, journalists reporting on the available parts of the inquest claim that it states that 6 of the group members died of hypothermia, 3 of fatal injuries, right? There were no indications of other people nearby. The tent had been ripped open from within. The victims died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal. Traces from the camp showed that all group members left the campsite on their own accord, on foot. So they weren't... The footprints don't suggest that they were taken away, like drug away or anything like that. Some levels of radiation were found on one of the victims' clothing. Right, so that's a weird wrinkle, right? To dispel the theory of an attack by the indigenous people, the coroner stated that the fatal injuries of the 3 bodies could not have been caused by human beings because the force of the blows had been too strong and no soft tissue had been damaged. So, if I'm beating with a weapon, even a bat, if I'm hitting you hard enough to break bones, I'm going to bruise or tear the soft tissue. You're
going to bleed.
You're going to split the skin. So released documents contained no information about the condition of the skier's internal organs, and there were no survivors, right? So the conclusion was that the group members had died because of a compelling natural force, and that's as vague as it was, right? So that was in 1959, and they were kind of filed away to a secret archive, the case files. So why are they keeping this thing under wraps, right?
Yeah.
So then in 97, it was revealed that the negatives from the camera were kept in that private archive of one of the investigators, Ivanov. The film material was donated by Ivanov's daughter to the Dyatlov Foundation, and the diaries of the hiking party fell into Russia's public domain in 2009. So the remains of one of these people were exhumed on the initiative of journalists of the Russian tabloid newspaper, Pravda, and then there were contradictory results obtained. One of the experts said that the character of the injuries resembled a person knocked down by a car, and the DNA analysis did not reveal any similarity to the DNA of living relatives, like it was a replacement body. In addition,
that's creepy.
It turned out that Zolorytov's name was not on the list of those buried at the cemetery. Nevertheless, the reconstruction of the face from the exhumed skull matched post-war photographs of the person, although journalists expressed suspicions that another person was hiding under that name after World War II. Maybe he died in World War II, and it's not even related to this incident. It's just, it turns out that person wasn't actually your relative from the war. He died in the war, and somebody else came back as him, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. And so then in February 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation into the incident, although only 3 possible explanations were being considered: an avalanche, a slab avalanche, or a hurricane. And so the possibility of a crime had been discounted, right?
But where'd the radiation come from?
Right. Okay. So we'll look at all the contradictory evidence here real quick. The favorite theory now is a very specific type of avalanche that like every scientist that has looked at it now and like modern, knowing how we can like create simulations and things like that. Okay. It was probably a very specific type of snowfall that creates very heavy compacted snow to the point of...
But if it was just an avalanche, why is the Russian government hiding it away in classified files?
Well, so then one of the theories is that they were near
a Russian
testing site, which is why there was radioactive material. And with it being in the height of the Cold War, they didn't want to release...
they're...
Yeah, basically. Yeah, hey, by the by, they were near a Russian nuclear testing site.
Yeah.
Right. And so, okay, that checks out. That makes sense. But so then that kind of lends cadence to like, was it the military? I know that you like the Yeti theory, but the Yeti theory, again, doesn't really play into... It's the same reason why it wouldn't have been an attack by a person.
Yeah.
Right? Of like, well, where's the evidence of, blunt force, right?
Right.
And so this is a very specific type of avalanche, like I was saying. I forget the numbers here, but basically, like, per square foot of snow, it can be like several thousand pounds of weight. And so it doesn't take much for just a small slab. It doesn't have to be a large avalanche to slide over. They heard it. They think they're about to be in an avalanche, so they cut their way out. And you've got the ones that were in several different states of undress. One of the symptoms of hypothermia is, you see it a lot in hypothermic people. When you find them, they get hot. We joke in the long dark, oh, wait, I'm starting to warm up again,
It's so cold. I'm starting to get warm again.
Yeah. And so that's probably why they were, nude, and they had like burns on their hands from where they were holding them close to the fire because they couldn't feel their hands anymore. Right. And so they're so desperately trying to stay warm. And with it being a relatively small avalanche of this snow slab, it didn't crush their tent or anything like that. It just, because what it said, like 1,600 meters from their camp is when their footprints disappear. Maybe that's where the snow slid through, crushed those ones that were under, 4 feet of snow. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they were laying face down in the water, and critters came by and ate their face. And so you can't explain it away with science, but there's so many different layers of, it took us this long to have these types of tools of science to decide that that's probably the most likely.
Right.
And so you're like, But yeah, some of the more outlandish theories that don't have much cadence to them, where, you could see, okay, they were attacked. Okay, yeah, maybe, right? And then you start to look at it and you go, okay, well, I see where that couldn't be. Or the military. Oh, okay, well, I see where that couldn't be. But it's a good theory.
I could definitely see it being a case of what caused the avalanche, and that's why the government took it.
Right. Maybe they're
because they
testing.
were doing something. Maybe
Yeah, they
a little
accidentally
something they
killed
weren't
these
supposed to.
Yeah.
And they caused that avalanche, and they're like, we better make sure that there's no evidence
Yeah, that we caused these
that
deaths.
we caused it.
Yeah.
Or of the weapon itself,
Yeah.
so make sure it doesn't get out.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're honestly, it's such an interesting thing to me. There haven't been much, game, movies or anything like that made. There's a game called Kolot that's a Polish horror game. And it's I don't want to say it sounds derogatory, but a walking simulator where there's not much gameplay to it. It's you're walking around looking for these different pieces of evidence. And the game kind of explores multiple theories where you find a bunker and then you're kind of getting followed by a weird alien presence. And so it kind of explores different. And then you're like, oh, is that a monster that I just saw? Mm-hmm. So it kind of just plays into all the different theories that you've heard. But then there was actually a movie called Devil's Pass that apparently is pretty mid. But it's found footage horror film from 2013 by the same director as Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger with fucking Sylvester Stallone. And so,
Adrian.
like I said, it got on IGN, it got a 5 out of 10. And yeah, it was a pretty mid movie.
Mid.
But I'm like, man, I think there's definitely something there. There's potential for a good movie there. Maybe make it a mystery, or, you can just pick a theory and go, yeah, that's what happened.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. But I think that some of the more interesting piece of it is not knowing. And so, yeah, if you can find some way to make a movie about, well, we don't know what happened, do a Chernobyl miniseries about it. You know what I mean?
Chernobyl was good on HBO Max.
Do 3 or 4 episodes of the investigative process. Mm-hmm. That'd be kind of cool. But that is the Dyatlov Pass incident.
I think it'd be cool to see another video game with horror and snow environment. Horror.
Oh, horror. Yeah, I thought you said horror.
You know.
You know what I said.
In that snowy environment. You don't see too many of those.
No.
Because it is kind of hard to play that off, but when you can.
Yeah, makes snow scary.
Well, snow is one of those things where it either looks really good
or not.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
Snow's so hard.
We're starting to get to a point where they can do snow well. I look at The Last of Us Part 2 or Assassin's Creed Valhalla, things like that, where you get to see your footprints in the snow and seeing the snow fall and things like that.
Hear me out.
I'm hearing you.
What if we just make better snow graphics?
What if we just made... My God, Unreal
What if we
Engine
just
6?
made Unreal
Wumba, wumba. Big brain thumping.
These fucking dogs, dude. I'm about to kill them all. No, for the record, we're not going to hurt our dogs.
I don't know if Ray scratches next to me one more time.
So let me get back to my notes here for the podcast. Oh, duh. You know what's next? You got a
Welcome back to Chris's Cryptid Corner. I'm your host, the dude.
Chris.
So, this week I'll be talking about, I believe it's pronounced the bunyip.
I wanted you to just say a really easy word. I believe it's pronounced ghosts.
I wanted
It
to
sounds like a bunion.
Yeah.
Just grows on the side of your foot.
According to indigenous Australian folklore, the bunyip is a creature found in lakes and swamps in Australia. It's often found eating people, especially women and kids. Descriptions of the bunyip are all over the place, but many describe it looking something along the lines of a seal. And supposedly it lays eggs in platypus nests to keep it from being hunted.
If I saw a seal lay an egg, I'd be like, that ain't right.
So I took a look at it. It kind of looks like a seal. Honestly, it looks more
It's
like
a black man with a face scar.
Yeah.
Baby.
I was over here very gently singing into the microphone. Kiss from a rose.
No. It looks more like a bulldog with scales.
Word.
With
Word.
an alligator tail.
It's like me in the morning.
Yeah.
when I
A
take
bulldog
my-
with scales.
When I take my makeup off.
Before I've done a full body head to toe lotion and treatment.
And then it looks like here that I was looking for sightings and it looks like there hasn't been a whole lot.
You said it was mostly indigenous people.
Mostly indigenous people. But I mean, sourcing all the way back to 1818.
I wonder if they taste like chicken.
I bet they probably taste like alligator or seal.
The bunyip? Okay. I thought maybe the indigenous people was what we were talking about. I'm like, why are we eating the indigenous people?
What do you mean? What do you
mean?
I thought we had this question
What do
about
you
fire
mean?
in the sky.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I ain't going hungry.
So let's see. They had one in 1818, 1830, 1845, 47, and it looks like it goes all the way up to 62.
It's like the last sighting.
1800s. Yeah, the
1862 is the last sighting?
yeah, the biggest ones here. There may be some other
Oh,
ones.
yeah, smaller. Like, honestly, I think that was a bunyip.
Yes,
that's
it
the
looks
extent of it.
like
Don't send your kids over there.
There's a bunyip.
Susan Butler back in 2013 in Sydney, Australia.
Susan Butler sounds like the kind of person that made that shit up.
Yeah.
She wants to see your manager.
Yeah.
It's like that Cartoons Humanity, that bitch Susan.
That
Bitch,
bitch.
Susan. There was a guy named David Gilmour in 2012.
David Gilmour?
Mm.
Gilmour sounds more trustworthy.
I
Yeah.
trust. Yeah, your last name is Gilmour.
Makes me think of the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Rory, I
Good
trust
show.
Rory.
Yeah, I trust Rory. But so it looks like here it says that one of the earliest accounts relating to the large unknown freshwater animals in 1818. A gentleman named Hamilton Hume and James Mahan found some large bones.
I got a large bone for you.
That bingo.
Badow.
Boom.
And they described the remains as a creature very much like a hippopotamus or a manatee.
Sounds like when people describe me.
No. The Philosophical Society of
It's a land
Australia
whale.
later offered to reimburse for any costs, and they wanted to take the remains. And it says here that they wanted to put them into a museum, but nobody would take them. Nobody would take them because they don't know what it is. They thought
Right, yeah.
all kept thinking it was fake. So, I mean, in 1818, they had evidence, and they just said no.
Yeah, we don't know what it is, so
So
I think it's a fake.
I think maybe something like this, if it's all the way back in the 1800s,
Yeah.
maybe it's just an extinct animal.
Right, an animal
So,
we
yeah.
don't
I feel
know
like
of
this
anymore.
one could very well be.
I mean, what is like the
true.
Tasmanian tiger?
Yeah.
The last photo of the Tasmanian tiger is like a very grainy black and white photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, people looking, this isn't real, this is fake, a mixture
Right.
of different bones, anything like that. In the case of, it could have been a seal or.
That we just hunted to extinction.
Yeah. Or just, out of natural selection.
Yeah.
But. I think that's pretty crazy. We'll have to throw a picture in there because there's a couple different ones. There's a couple good ones, but I don't know. I
I
haven't
want
done
you to
one
know
for
that we
months.
say that every time, and I've never once put a picture of the thing on there.
Well, and then we'll just keep saying it then.
That works. Yeah, we'll put a picture of a bunyip up there and the picture of Annabelle.
Yeah.
And a picture of my asshole.
Just the butt.
Just the hole.
The hole. Not even
hole
the cheeks.
itself,
There's
not-
zero cheek in this thing. It's just, it looks like a fucking satellite picture of the Grand Canyon.
What is that? Well, that's Chris's butthole.
That's his butthole.
Oh, it's a sphincter. But no, I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't done too many in Australia. I'm curious about more in Australia or maybe some other regions. But Morgan, what you been thinking about?
What have I been thinking about?
No, I'm just playing Colin. No. Yeah,
Psych. Yeah.
what you been thinking about?
Oh, same old, same old.
Money,
My-
drugs.
Drugs.
Sex.
I sell drugs on the
Becoming
corner.
a deity?
Legit.
The fleeting aspects of life, you know.
Pretty much. No.
Versailles.
Versailles. I'm really into the French historical drama Versailles.
Versace?
Oh, I wish I could afford some Versace. I need a pay raise for that. But so I'm a huge reader, but I specifically read like romance novels and fan fiction. So
Harry Potter erotica.
Harry Potter erotica, Hermione and Draco. You know, I'm all about shipping them.
Hermione.
Hermione is my favorite ship of all time. So I've been reading that, and then I picked up the new
No.
Colleen Hoover book, Verity. So I'm excited for
Is
that.
that a porn book too?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
Morgan just.
But it was in my romance section, and Book Talk told me it's spicy, so I picked it up.
Yeah, so it's probably got
Yeah.
pork in it.
Well, technically, I made you buy it for me. I threw it at you at Target and said, buy this for me.
under
that
your
what I bought?
nose.
Yeah.
Under your nose, just like that.
Oh no, it wasn't even under my nose. I remember her handing me a book and going, "I want this," and I was okay.
And he says that, but it's all the same money. So it's just like, he's buying me a gift. I'm like, here, you're buying this for me. Just so when I make him buy dinner.
I expect you fully to, Sullivan, can I help you?
I think the dogs need to
Take a shit.
evacuate there.
Should we take a little pause break?
Yeah, is that a pun? Pause break. Dogs have paws. Let's go potty.
Ignis, go potty.
Oh fuck.
So, anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. What have you been thinking about, Colin? This dick.
Easy. I've been watching Severance on Apple TV Plus. I talked about it quite a few weeks back on my What I've Been Thinking About that I wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
So I've only watched the first episode, but so far it's pretty good. Like I wouldn't.
Have you started The Boys?
Yeah, finished the first season.
I just want to state that he interrupted my Versailles time to watch the first episode of Severance.
And she enjoyed Severance, so don't let her act like it was
To
a
be
whole
fair, I was
thing.
also playing casino slots on my tablet.
I mean, anything's fun at that point.
Right.
You could be at a funeral home and fucking getting mega millions.
Are
know what?
you caught up on Better Call Saul?
I was like
I
at
am.
80 million last
you're
night
not.
when I closed it.
No, you're not.
Swear.
When'd you do that?
I did that just periodically, just throughout work, at lunch. I hit the point where Gustavo Fring just killed, what's his name? I can't remember his name of the guy with the mustache. One of the newer characters in Better Call Saul.
I don't remember his name, but yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
catching up.
Catching up, but you're not caught up.
Oh, I'm done.
Catching up.
Try me, bitch. No.
Thank you so much for
Anyways, I was talking about my What You've Been Thinking About.
yeah.
And yeah, no, Severance pretty good. Check that shit out on Apple TV Plus if you got it. And if you don't got it, fucking pirate it. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not my money. No, for the record, don't commit crimes because I told you to. For legal reasons, that's a joke. No, it is actually very good. Adam Scott from Step Brothers, he plays Derek.
Yeah.
He's the main character in it, and it's actually pretty intriguing. I saw you fart.
I heard it rumble the chair.
It didn't pick up on the mic, but I saw it in your eyes. There was fear.
You don't have any evidence.
Prove it.
Yeah, there's nothing you can prove.
But no, it's got a pretty interesting premise of like basically having a procedure done where you don't remember your work life, and while you're at work, you don't remember your home, like the life outside. So like basically, you walk into work. As soon as you cross a certain threshold, your conscience stops. And then now it's 5 p.m. and I'm back online. And so to you, work was a blink of an eye. But to your work conscience, you never leave, right?
You're just always there.
So they remember crossing the threshold, and then the next thing they know, they're back at work.
I don't like that.
And so it's
I
a
don't like that
weird
at all. That's scary.
moral or philosophical question of like, it's you. It's all you, right? But is it fair to the other you to be trapped there, right? And so basically, like, the whole idea is, he's undergone this process, and what makes a person do that? Why did it sound like a good idea to this person? And so, and what if the procedure failed, right? What kind of a job needs you to forget your job when you leave, right?
Or what if it just kind of malfunctions? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't
And
reverse itself completely, so
I
you're
wasn't
still
sure.
able to understand and see things.
Yeah, exactly. Like with having Adam Scott as the lead and Ben Stiller as the director, I was like, is it going to be a comedy or what? It's definitely a thriller, but it
Yeah.
does have some comedic beats to it.
A few of the characters you can tell are there to kind of offset the weird and serious tones of this show.
Well, and I mean, it's got and that's another thing that I talked to Morgan about, where I was like, I don't really know what time is it. It's the not so distant future, I think, where it might be like within the next 10 to 15 years.
Sure.
Because some of the conversation that they have is like super like roll your eyes, where they're like, the construct of like food versus just living and things like that, and you're like, oh my god, these people are insufferable, But you could see like very modern like veganism or any of like those types of movements or lifestyles in the next 15 years becoming just pretty mainstream stuff.
Sure.
And what does the evolution of that look like, where, my god, these people are just annoying to sit around, and listen to them talk.
That's them now.
But check that show out. The other thing I've been thinking about that I don't even have to ask you what you've been thinking about. We can both talk about this. So we've talked about it before, I think.
Oh, I know we have.
On our What You've Been Thinking About. The game The Long Dark is a very good survival game about just man versus nature. There's no like monsters in it. It's just like wolves and bears and moose, technically, can fuck you up. But then it's mostly just nature. It's the weather, right? You're going to die of starvation or exposure or something as little as like, I broke my leg or, sprained my ankle. I can't carry stuff. It's just easy things like that, right?
Well, that's what got me on one of our runs, is the fact I was carrying so much shit and like
can't move.
I can't move.
Yeah.
Can't do nothing.
And so you have to make decisions of like, I don't want to drop any of this. This is all pivotal to my survival, but right. Well, so all of this to say that its main component was the solitude of it, the solitary nature of it. And we've always talked, how would you pull off co-op in that? Because the developers have talked about that. They don't have any plans for a multiplayer co-op.
It pulls off very well.
Yeah, there's a mod for the PC game, or the PC version, called like Sky Mod Co-op or something to that effect. But it was super easy to download, actually.
Super easy.
And
for someone who has no experience of modding, I was able to do it literally just clicks of buttons, open it up, and I only had to run it twice. Slightly
harder than like a Steam Workshop mod, but not too much harder. I mean, if anybody's done like Fallout mods through like Vortex or Forge mod loader, where we've done our Minecraft through that, it was about as hard as that, right? But and it pulls it off well. Like, we've been playing the shit out of it, and it's preoccupying our thoughts.
Like, they lose hours. They go upstairs to like 8 and crawl in bed at like 3 a.m.
2 nights in a row, we stayed up until 3 a.m.
Correct. I was trying to get us to not record this tonight so we could play it instead.
Yeah.
But I want to play it after
Now,
this.
I just want to share that their computers are across the hall from each other.
Yeah.
So when they're being chased by bears and they're screaming, I hear kind of like 4 screams, because I can hear both of them screaming and then it coming out of their microphones in their offices. But you know what? That's okay with me, because it means they're leaving me alone and I can read my fan fiction.
I
all
one-shot
want.
a fucking bear in the forehead with a pistol.
Yeah, you want
with a revolver. We both were like, oh my god!
And we ate. And that was why I got so heavy, is because I tried carrying all that bear meat.
Taking that bear meat with you. I've got 2 bear hides on me.
I had the bear meat and then
my rugged mountain men over here.
A bunch of deer meat, I think. You're
wolf
carrying
meat.
just bags of meat.
It was that wolf meat.
Yeah. You were just carrying so much meat on you. Story of my life.
So much meat, man. My
just
back's
carrying
hurting.
meat.
I literally can't
It's taped
sprint.
to your
I've
thigh.
got so much meat.
Carrying pounds of meat.
Just
Jesus.
double.
Can you imagine a dick that
2
weighs
hands.
pounds? That's a disease. That's
tucked
a
into your
growth.
sock.
That's a disease I don't ever want to be.
That's a disease.
I don't want to be healthy.
Call the doctor, because I'm the illest, No, so that's what I've been thinking about. And that's what you definitely been thinking about, right?
I mean, it is like I'll be at work. That's just what
You're
I'll
just
think.
daydreaming.
That's all I think about.
Yeah. And
They run
I
up the
don't-
stairs like children, giggling to get to their
I
computers.
do. Like,
I didn't include it in last week's news because I don't know that it was out yet. But The Long Dark actually announced its first like paid expansion.
yeah.
And what did we talk? It was going to be like $20, right, over the course of a
but
year.
it said it was going to give, at least in this update, a bunch of customization
Like a
opportunities.
ton of updates.
Yeah.
And so I'm like definitely worth paying because I mean it's been out for
I'm gonna buy it.
6 to
No,
7 years.
I've always loved that game.
Yeah, and they've never once asked for additional money past the price of,
And it is no matter what. Like, no, I stopped playing it for a little bit, but it was never a game where it's like, I don't want to play that.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really fall off on it. It's just like you got to be in the right mood for it,
Right.
And sometimes that mood strikes, and it never fails to scratch that itch when the mood strikes,
Yeah, it's definitely a good game.
It's kind of like a Minecraft in that way of like,
Sure.
Minecraft's not fun forever, but so
when
you got to put it
is,
down,
It is.
and then you come back and you're like, oh fuck, this is it.
But that does make me think of like, what all they're going to be doing with customization with like base building.
Yeah, because they talked about customizing your safe house and stuff.
So I'm curious if it's with any cabin per se,
Right,
where you
yeah,
can
can
make
you
beds or make
Turn
stoves.
this into your safe house. That'd be cool, and like maybe deconstructing more things.
Sure.
Your favorite
down.
thing to do in games build.
It is.
Tear down fucking walls.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll go that far, but that'd be dope.
But also, no, I don't think they'd have to. I mean, because they got a pretty nice layout of a lot of the cabins, especially the one that we stayed at. That was the 2 stories, and it had the kitchen downstairs with
The farmhouse. Or are you talking about
No,
the?
it was the cabin on the lake.
Yeah, the mystery lake,
Mystery
like the
Lake.
Counselor,
Mm-hmm.
or the whatever you call
That
it,
was
the ranger cabin.
Yeah,
That's-
it was a nice little cabin just
Yeah.
right next to the lake, but had a lot of storage in it that we were able to have. So I mean, even just adding storage to it. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that would be phenomenal. Because I did notice, whenever we start to fill up the storage, we're like, all right, we gotta
do something with
move.
this.
We gotta
Yeah.
move to the next spot, or whenever we run out of resources.
And I don't know how they would pull it off, but I would like to see like renewable food in some way.
Like in the game, do you guys have electricity? Like, do you
No,
have lights
so
and
that's
stuff?
one of the biggest things is like it's been a geomagnetic storm. So like basically constant. I'm sorry, I just looked to my right and one of the dogs is just licking the teeth of the other dog, and it was very intimate. And I feel like I wasn't supposed to see it, but
My goodness.
yeah, and the dog that was getting licked was just going. But what do you do? But no, yeah, it's been like a geomagnetic storm or whatever, and like the poles flipped and all that. Now the aurora borealis is showing down in like Canada, and yeah, all electronics. Like there's cars stopped in the middle of the road where they died. But when the aurora comes out, electronics kind of come in and out. Where like you can access computers and read notes and stuff on computers, and you can turn the radio on and hear stuff.
It's static.
And the lights kind of flicker, but then when the aurora goes away, it all stops again. And so, yeah, one of the biggest things, like, at nighttime, you can't see a fucking thing.
You can't see dick.
Yeah. And so you got to have a light source. Or like that night that we fucking made camp under a rock overhang, and we're like, yeah, we're solid. We're solid, baby. Like, this is a good spot. We laid a big, nice fire, hot, and had like 8 hours of fuel on it, laid down our mats, and we're like, we're eating like kings tonight. We're going to sleep the whole 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then like 4 hours into our sleep, just a blizzard came down upon us, put out our fire.
And
we
had
couldn't
to
see
move.
dick.
Yeah, and we had
and
to
we're
move
like,
'cause
we've
our
got to
ears
get
were
inside.
dropping.
We're going to die. And it's like super dynamic to be like, yeah, we're doing solid. Like we felt high on life, and then we're fucked. But that was fun.
Yeah, but it still definitely holds that aspect of like, even though there's another person, it's still super hard to live.
Because I don't know
super
that
easy
they
to die.
I don't know that they increased loot. So it's like, yeah, it's now we've got 2 people, so it's maybe easier to acquire said loot, but there's still less loot
like
to
I
be
carry
had.
a lot of the medic stuff. So
yeah,
whenever like
we're able to
either of us
divide.
get
There's 2 people to
hurt-
carry stuff.
Right, and so like I'll carry other bandages. So if you do fall, you'll always
Yeah.
like come examine me.
Yeah,
do you have
like,
any
fix
pain
me?
meds?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fix me, and like I'll take
Make
the
it
hits
better.
from the wolves. I get into the fights with the wolves, and you fix me up after.
Yep.
But yeah, good shit. So if you guys play The Long Dark on PC, definitely look into that mod.
I do not play The Long Dark on PC.
You
I
don't play The Long Dark.
I enjoy The Sims and Stardew Valley.
Yeah,
Stardew Valley Fox.
Stardew Valley
The
is
Fox. We've
yeah.
talked about that
Yeah.
plenty of times.
You got me a Stardew Valley coffee cup.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and I wanted it for myself so bad.
It's a shame we live in the same house.
We're pushing 2 hours, kids. So
Let's wrap it up.
we don't want two 2-hour episodes in a row. So
Yeah, we don't like that. We don't like giving them too much stuff.
yeah, we don't want to set a precedent. What if next week we don't have 2 hours of content? You know, I don't want to have to fill for
Plus,
time.
you want to make them come back.
That's right.
You got to hear the rest of the story.
It's provocative. No one knows what it
No,
means.
it
It's
just
provocative.
gets the people going.
So, yeah, once again, we want to thank you guys so much for your attention and support. If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a great review. Share it on social media. Tell your friends about us. Spread us like a virus, not the virus. No, word of mouth is a huge helper right now. So definitely tell your friends about us. Whatever platform you listen to us on, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcast, fucking some of the weird ones like iHeartRadio, and there's one called like Podfuck, I think. I don't think it's that. Something that's it's not that. Apple Podcast, that's what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, whatever they phrase it as.
Underground.
It's pretty underground. You wouldn't have heard of it. Yeah.
You ever heard of Spotify?
You ever heard of Spotify? Yeah.
Dude, Spotify Premium?
Yeah.
I'm trying to hook up a sponsorship with them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, give me a $200 million deal like you did Joe Rogan, and I'm in. I'm in like Flynn. But no. Yeah, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, whatever they phrase it as. So that way you get your notifications when we post episodes.
Smash that like
Smash
button.
the like button. Chris, if people want to get in touch with us, share some of their own favorite spooky stories,
Yeah, you can always
they do
reach
that?
out to us. Give us a look on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Simply Whelmed Podcast. You can always check out our Twitter handle, which is whelmed_simply. Then, as always, you can send us an email, suggestions, money donations for the Church of the Good Word. We talked about it before, and I think we brought it up on the podcast, but it's been brought up to me again. Merch.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Like, I don't know if we've got the volume of requests yet, but I might be able to hook up something.
Like the amount of people that have asked me for it.
What, 5? You go 3.
4.
4. Yeah, fuck you. It's 4.
I'm hitting like 9 or 10 because like I've thrown it around with a couple of my friends who I know listen to it. And I'm like, is this something that you would be interested in? And they all are an astounding yes. Like, you need to do this.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I've got a way, not immediately, but somewhere in the pipeline where we might be able to do like buy order basically, as opposed to having stock.
But if you had any thoughts, anything like that, you can definitely let us know at simplywhelmedthemailbag@gmail.com.
Excellent. So next week, we might just go watch Black Adam.
I think we should.
I think we're going to see Black Adam.
I think we should.
Who knows? Yeah,
Can I go see Black Adam and you buy me an alcohol beverage from the bar?
Jesus. Well, hold on.
Yeah, we're about to go see Black Adam. So.
We might have to wait to see. Well, I guess we could see both of them. Morgan and I are going to go see...
Oh, yeah.
Pray for the Devil?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not doing Pray for the Devil on the podcast. So.
No, but I'll probably mention it.
Yeah, you can do it in your What You Think.
We're going to go for a date. You're not invited.
That's fine by me. Movie looks like shit anyways. No. But yeah, I mean, we might have to go see Black Adam. Yeah. But also, we're only a couple weeks away from, first of all, God of War releasing. Oh, shit. I'm going to have
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to take some time off for that. Because I think we do need to do an episode about it. But I don't know how. Like, it'll be the first time we've talked about a game as our main event. And it's such a long game, potentially, that I think maybe we do, like, first, we've played, like, the first 10 hours, or you know what I mean?
So you need to do sections on it, like episodes.
Yeah, I was going to say something like that, or now that, you have, like, set hours with your new job, which congratulations with, by the way.
Thank you.
Whoop, whoop.
Typically, my hours off would be right after yours end. Mm-hmm. So maybe, like, we don't, we go see, whatever, talk about something. You have your days off, binge the fuck out of it, and then...
Oh, I plan on taking time off from work, if I'm able to just binge through it.
I'm just trying to think of a good way that we would both be able to play it and be at an equal-ish spot without spoiling it for each other, but both having our own different experiences with it.
Well, so my thought is, even if one of us finishes the game, then we just gauge off of the other, like the one that hasn't finished it, how far they are. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if I finish it and you don't, and I go, have you been to the part where, or I tell you, what's the last thing you remember? And you're like, so-and-so fought so-and-so. And I go, okay.
He
Yeah, I
shit
mean-
on a log.
Yeah, Kratos shit on a log.
Kratos.
Oh, I
shit
remember
on
on that.
Atreus.
Yeah, actually shat on him. But no, also Wakanda Forever
It was like
is in
tobacco
like
spit.
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's
So we need
coming
to
out.
look at the timing on that because I've been hurting for another comic. We haven't done a comic book primer in a
I'd
minute.
be down for a Black Panther comic.
Yeah,
That ain't bad.
I ain't just pretty, man.
Got
Got
some brains
thoughts,
on
too.
it.
But no, that's
You have good brain.
that's right. No, those are my thoughts. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what next week brings?
But that's just a theory.
Podcast
Simply wrong
theory.
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 I forget how he closes it out after that.
Bye.
Yeah, that was the end.
Yeah.